What's going on, guys? It's Pete Nova from the Face Off Sports Network. I am back with my Week 16 defensive streamers to target to help you win your fantasy football matchups. We will be dropping a bonus defense at the end of this video, so stay tuned and stick around till the end. But yeah, this video is dropping on Saturday before Week 15. I wanted to get this one out early in case you have a bye or are looking to stash a defense ahead of the second week of the fantasy football playoffs. It's always good to go ahead and look ahead, and a lot of people's waivers run on Saturday nights. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The Indianapolis Colts are going to be my number one defense to stream this week for Week 16. They're 5.9% rostered across fantasy formats. I am shocked that this defense is still very under-owned across fantasy formats. If you've been watching my videos, I've told you that they have a great schedule for the last 2 weeks of the season. They get the Giants for the championship, and they get the Tennessee Titans in the second week of the playoffs. This is a home team, and we get a low point total at 42.5 points. If you watch my videos, those are my two favorite things to look at when targeting a defense to stream every single week. We also get a low EPA offense in the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans are 28th in EPA on offense over the last 5 weeks. If you look at the bottom left of the chart, you'll see them. And it doesn't take a chart to tell anybody that watches football that the Tennessee Titans offense has not been very good this year outside of Tony Pollard and some strong weeks from Calvin Ridley, depending on when you start them. But Colts defense, 13th in dropback EPA over the last 5 weeks. So they've been pretty solid in that department as well. And opposing defenses are averaging 11.2 fantasy points against the Tennessee Titans this year. Will Levis has been sacked 23 times over the past 5 weeks. And this Colts defense has picked it up in the sacks department. You know, when you look at their previous games in the last 5 weeks, they've had three or more sacks in 4 of the last 5 weeks. They've also had 2 games in those 5 weeks where they've generated 4 sacks. That's a pretty good number there, and they are trending in the right direction in that department. The Tennessee Titans also are ranked tied for second in giveaways this season on offense. 23 giveaways this year. That's almost 2 giveaways per game. And this Titans offense is averaging just 295 yards per game. That's really low. They're at the bottom of the league in that department as well. Colts defense, look, they can definitely be had on the ground. Their rush defense is not the best. They're bottom 10 rush defense unit in EPA standpoint, but at least over the last 5 weeks. But if Tony Pollard, you know, he may get his, but that doesn't really worry me too much. I like the Colts, and they're my favorite defense to stream this week. Moving on to the next defense, it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. They go up against the New York Giants, just 6% owned across fantasy formats. This is a really nice total here. We get 41.5, and it is a home team as well. So we get a low total, and we get a home team again here. The New York Giants are allowing the second most points to opposing defenses in fantasy this year. And over the last 4 weeks, 11.67. They've given up 10 or more fantasy points to the Saints, the Bucks, and it's been a really bad stretch for them. I expect that to continue. And the Dallas Cowboys were the third defense there, but I expect that to continue. With the Ravens this week, and then the following week would be the Falcons, who we're talking about now. The Giants offense heading into week 15 is 31st in EPA. You'll see them in the bottom left of the chart here. They have not been good, even with Daniel Jones, without Daniel Jones. Nothing is going right for this offense. This Falcons defense, they're 32nd in the league for sacks, but over the last 3 games, they're at the top of the NFL. 3.3 sacks per game. They are trending up in the right direction in this department. The Giants are also giving up 3.5 sacks over the last 4 weeks. So, you know, as long as this defense is getting their sacks, I don't expect the Giants offense to come out guns blazing. I expect this to be a low total in this game when it's all said and done. And I do think the Falcons are a solid defense to stream for this week. Going on to my third and final defense, and then I'll drop the bonus defense right after. It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Raiders Just, when you look at this defense in the Jaguars, they're not extremely talented. They're not my favorite here out of the three. But if you're in a deep league, I do think they do provide a pretty good floor with some upside here. When you look at this game, it is an away team, but we get the lowest point total on the week at 39.5 points. That should give us a good floor. The Raiders are giving up 4 sacks a game over the last 4 weeks, and they give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. When you look at the Raiders EPA wise, over the last 5 weeks, 27th in EPA. They're at the bottom left of this chart as well, just like the other offenses that we showed you. And when you think about the Raiders, I mean, look, they're dealing with quarterback injuries right now. Aiden O'Connell is not playing in week 15. We're unclear about his status in week 16. I don't care who is at the quarterback position. This team is just not good. Their offense is just not good. And it doesn't worry me whether it's Desmond Ridder or it is Aiden O'Connell. I'm not really worried about this Raiders offense at all. They're 8th lowest in yards per game, and Jacksonville, yeah, they're averaging 2 sacks per game. So that's not really great. It's not what we're looking for, but I do think they will give us a good floor. And again, if you're in a deep league, this is a defense you might want to target, in your waiver wires for this week. Now, moving on to my bonus defense, because I couldn't do this video without giving a shout out to the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, I like them for week 15. I like them for week 16 as well. They take on the Saints, and we get a home team with a low point total at 42.5 points. They're favored by 12.5 points. It's a low total at 42.5, and they're favored by 12.5. I did not misread that. 12.5 points. We are unsure who the quarterback is going to be, but I don't think it'll be Derek Carr. Now, they are owned across 48%. 48% owned across fantasy formats. That's why I didn't put them in for my top 3, just because they don't qualify under 25% owned, but they would be my favorite defense of all of these defenses, following the Colts, and then following the Falcons, and the Jaguars would be last. But when taking a little bit of a deeper look into this game, Saints offense is missing Taysom Hill. We don't know the status of Chris Olave. That's in the air. The quarterback situation, Derek Carr did fracture his non-throwing hand. I don't think he's going to play, but even if he does, I'm not that worried. New Orleans offense ranks 31st in pass block win rate this season. That is really, really bad, guys, and that usually leads to a lot of quarterback pressures and some sacks as well. Packers defense is tied for 3rd in takeaways this year. And 2.5 sacks per game is what they're averaging, 2.7 sacks per game over the last 3 weeks. And they've recorded multiple sacks in 3 of the past 4 games. And they're 7th in points per game this year as a defensive unit when it comes to fantasy at 8.3. So yeah, I really like this Packers defense. If you can get them, I would 100% maybe drop a depth piece if you can, to make sure you snag them, because this is going to be a really good defense. As well as, I like the Colts too. If you can get both of these defenses and maybe play the Colts against the Giants last week of season and play the Packers against the Saints, you should be in a really, really good spot with at least those defenses giving you a nice boost to your lineup. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys liked and appreciated that I dropped this a little bit earlier. If you have questions or comments, drop them in the section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and I'll see you guys next time.